So you need your pre-op root length. What that is just preoperative root length. So you put it from here to here. These are very similar to all of them. So we measure one now. It's pretty much the same in all of them. So it's around 25. Okay, it's 25. So you write down 25. Okay. Then that's the root length. Then pre-op working length. Okay. Actually, I need your central block like that one.
So you mentioned the incisor?
Oh, yeah, it's in
there. Oh,
That's what he did.
Yeah.
All right,
That's what he did.
so that's our root length. You can't really measure it in this, but that's what it is. Then pre-op working length. What's working length? Working length is a distance from an arbitrary point, from the reference point incisally, to the end of the root at the apical constriction. So it could be from incisal edge of this tooth, or if you're using a posterior tooth, it could be any of the cusps. It's just a reference point. It could be anywhere, and from that point all the way down to apical constriction, that's where the most constricted point of the root canal space is. And that's what we call working length. Okay, so that's the length you want to work within. You got to be religious about that, measuring it back and forth every time you introduce something in there. That's pre-op. We don't really know how much that is, so we get an estimate. Your pre-op is going to be an estimate. Then you get an X-ray working length. What's that? That's when you put a file in there and you take an X-ray. We do that next week with our mounted teeth using register. So that's what we do next time. So 4 radiographs. I'm gonna write it here. Okay. So you need a pre-op radiograph. 4 radiographs. So you need to be accompanied with every log. One is the pre-op radiograph. So you just take a radiograph of this tooth. Okay. You mount it in one of these. Blocks, and you take a radiograph of it. We'll do that next week. Then you're gonna get a working length radiograph. Okay? What's a working length radiograph? You have your tooth, you put a file in there to where you think your estimated working length is, and you take a radiograph. And the file will tell you, if it's going out, if it's short, or if it's right there when you need it to be. We want it to be 0.5 millimeter from that apical constriction. Okay? I'm not gonna get into why, but we'll just talk about the technicality of it. So you need that. That's the second radiograph. Let's move on. So when you have your working length, then you need 2/3 of the working length. Why do you need that? Because of gate splitting. We'll get to it. When you're using gate splitting, you want the smallest one to go 2/3 down your working length. That's why she wants you to measure that. Okay. Then you got gate splitting 2, 3, 4 depth. You write down how far your gate splitting drill goes. If you don't know what gate splitting is, it's these that I told you put in a separate sponge. You need 2, 3, and 4. It's this thing. And these are actually safe-ended. I'll show you how to use them later. So that's that. And then largest file with apical binding. Okay, so we got a tooth. It's this size. The question is, how big should we make it? We got all these files going from size 15 to 40. What does 15 mean? 15 means at the tip it's 0.15 millimeters. Okay. What does 40 mean? It means it's at the tip it's 0.4 millimeters. Okay, that's quite big. And then tapered. Tapered means 0.4, like I said earlier. When you got a 15 size file, for example, this at the tip is 0.15. If it's a 0.4 tapered, which these are, when you go 1 millimeter up, it will be a size 19 file. Okay. So if you wanted, we could custom make this 15 file into a 19 by cutting a millimeter. That's on the final exam. You have to know how to convert the numbers from, if you go 2 millimeters higher up in the file, what size is going to be, given this size. Anyways, so there is going to be one file that binds to your working length initially. What does that mean? That means that you put a number 10 in there. It's very small. This is a fairly big canal. It's very loose. It goes all the way down. It's loose. You go 15 in there. Also goes down. It's very loose. 15 goes to working length, no problem. Then you put a 20. Now all of a sudden you're gonna feel some resistance. It's like if you have a small pipe and now you're trying to shove something really big in there. So the first file that binds to your canal at working length, that's your largest file with apical binding. Okay. So that whatever that is, you're gonna record that and write it here. Then you're gonna add 3 sizes to that. So you're gonna say 20 was the one. Oh, just a second. 20 was the one that binded to your working length. Then you add 3 sizes to that. That would be 25, 30, 35. So you're gonna finish off with 35. Okay, so because the question is, how big do we make the canal? Do we keep going? Because you saw you have 45, you have 50. You know, depending on the canal. You know, we got a central incisor is really fat. You may go all the way to 50. You know, if it's a smaller canal. No, this tooth today, we're all gonna go to 40. All of us, regardless of where it binds. So that's that log. Okay. Then and at the end, you master apical file. What's a master apical file? You've probably heard that before. It's the last file that you use in the canal that goes to the working length. Okay. So if you finish a case off at 35 millimeters with 04 taper, that's going to be your master apical file, and that goes to working length. Yeah. All right. What were you going to ask?
If you use a 15 and it's kind of loose, and then you use a 20 but it doesn't go all the way, do you still use the 15 or do you try to widen it?
Usually goes. If 15 is loose, 20 usually goes. You know?
Oh, okay.
So if not, then yeah, you go back to 15 and then you go to 20. So yeah, it usually goes. All right. So again, for every tooth we do, we take a pre-op radiograph. Look at your cheat sheet. You're gonna follow that. That's how we learn. That's basically the protocol of doing a root canal. Except for the block tooth, because we can actually see the apex. So today, when you go in and you put your file all the way, it reaches there. You put your file there. All right. So for example, it reaches there. Then you gotta bring your stopper all the way for it to touch the incisal edge. That's gonna be your working length. Okay, from here to here is gonna be your working length. From where the stopper is to the end of the root. You can actually see it here. You can't see it in real life scenario on this replicated model. That's why we take an X-ray for working length. Anyways, well, you gotta watch this stopper. Stopper is usually wobbly. You know, it usually moves, so you gotta make sure you're not pushing it. And it's very endo is very delicate. You know, there's nothing requires any force whatsoever. And we're talking about millimeters. So if you gotta have a little finesse to your work if you want, you know, good results. Okay, so that's how we're working it. Access preparation. So for our first incisor, we're gonna have our access done with a rounder like we talked about. Now, here, in order to pass the course, you need to do ideal access, just like you have to do ideal cavity prep. But in real life, this may not be the ideal cavity prep or access prep. But here, you gotta stick to it, and this is what you have to do to become licensed. Everything we do in this course is replicated in the licensing exam in 4th year, so you better learn it now than struggling in 4th year. So you may have seen this as a triangle shape access, okay? The triangle shape access for a central incisor. There are dimensions from here, 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 and here. There's a competency sheet, which I don't know, you probably have it, you probably do. Have you guys seen that for your competency?
No.
No? Okay. Well, we'll have that. I'll find out where that is next week, and we'll read that. These are all measured, okay? In your competency, like you can't be too close to the incisal edge. It has to be 1.5 millimeter, for example. I can't remember what it is. It's written in in the competency sheet, and you have to meet that requirement. So you can't just place this triangle anywhere. So this has to be exactly on top of the pulp chamber with these dimensions from the marginal ridge back and forth. Okay, so you can't impinge on the marginal ridge. That's a failure. That's the first step we're going to do today. You make a nice access cavity and then find the canal. Okay, so access preparation. Look over there in the monitor now. So that's a rounder. You can draw those lines on your tooth if you want. If that makes your job easier, then do that. If not, you can just kind of like go at it. You just go on top of the cingulum right at the fossa, the central fossa. So you go with a rounder. Now this tooth, if everyone looks at it from the interproximal point of view, the canal is located a little more buccal compared to where you're gonna do your access. Look over here. If you were going straight into the canal, you would have to go through the incisal edge. Okay? If you want to go straight into the canal, but we don't want to do that because we don't want to ruin the incisal edge of a tooth, because that's on the aesthetic zone. So we do our access from the back. Now, if you're doing it from the back, you're not on top of the canal anymore, so we got to give it a 45-degree bend a little bit. Okay? So we're gonna do a 45-degree bend like this. Okay? And then you go in, and then as soon as you go in a little bit, then you straighten your burr. That's how we use the rounders. For a central incisor, we do 45 degree and then we go in. if you keep going on the 45 degree, we're gonna perforate on the buccal of the tooth. Okay, so we're gonna perforate on the facial. So we're gonna go in 45 degree and then move on down. The reason we do that is because if you want to go straight through the canal, you have to go through the incisal edge. So next time when you actually doing that, you know why. You know that's the difference than just arbitrarily just doing it without knowing what you're doing. So that's the access. Round bird, yeah. Miss Gladys? And then you see now he's straightening it. Okay, stop. Can you stop, Miss Gladys? Oh. Alright, thank you. Well, this repeats itself. So you go in, you drop into the canal, okay? How do you know if you're in the canal or not? You're gonna use your DG16 like this is doing right now. Canal is gonna be soft, dentine is gonna be hard. So if you're going in and it's smushy, then it's inside the canal. If it's hard, as if you're just touching it out here, then you're probably not deep enough, or you're going the wrong direction. At the beginning, all you want to do is actually learn how to hold the handpiece and how to, drill and get familiar with the instrument. So it doesn't matter if you go the wrong way, if you ledge, don't worry about that part. So rounder, then you see that you're in the chamber. You may or may not feel the drop. At the beginning, it's hard to feel the drop. Later on, it will be easier. When you confirm that you're inside the canal, then you're gonna pick your safe end bird. Okay, this is a safe end bird. You see that's that one? Safe end bird. Because now we have the canal space right there. We just want to make it bigger. And with the safe end bird is how you're gonna get that nice triangular access cavity. Okay, so you're gonna go in. It's easier said than done at the beginning, but that's what you gotta. That's the hard part, doing the access. You're gonna use that round burr. You're gonna hold it inside the. You don't want your. Sorry, you're gonna hold your endo Z. You don't want it to go beyond the CEJ. That's very important. So you don't want your endo Z to go beyond the CEJ because then you're gonna keep removing extra tooth structure for no reason. So you're gonna hold your endo Z inside the canal and then move it left, right, buccal. Very easy to eliminate the marginal ridges or eliminate the incisal edge. So you just gotta. It's something you gotta work on. Okay, so now we got that part out. Now we got, if you look at it under your loops in the mirror, you're gonna see the canal. Okay, in this tooth we have one canal only. What do you do next? You want to make sure it is the canal. So what do you do? You pick your number 10, which is our smallest hand file. This one. Okay, this is a 31. In this case, we're gonna use a 25 set. So start with 25 sets because that's. Just by experience, I know working length on this is around 24, so you don't want to use the 31s. So you go in with the file, you push it in, and it should go in easily. If it's not going in, then there's something wrong. You may not have de-roofed your pulp chamber. What does de-roofing mean? So a pulp chamber is has pulp horns, okay? Pulp horns go out on the sides. Look over here, guys, like this one and this one here. So when you go in initially into the canal, you may miss these pulp structures on the side, the pulp horns. So you're gonna go in, that's why we do the triangular shape, because this tooth has two pulp horns. You go on the sides and remove that. You de-roof the pulp horns. So you hear me saying, have you de-roofed the pulp horns? Then you gotta say yes. If you leave pulp structures there, then that's a failure. Anyways, so if your file is not going in, you may not have de-roofed your pulp chamber. Anyways, now let's say you got your file in there, number 10, it goes in. In this case, you can actually see it. So you see it, you establish a working length, okay? You establish a working length, let's say 24, okay? Okay, look at your cookbook again. So now we have a working length established with a size number 10 and a 15. So you're gonna go with the number 10 to working length, let's say 24 millimeters. You watch wind it. What does watch wind mean? Watch wind means you go quarter of a turn clockwise, quarter of a turn counterclockwise. Okay. When you go clockwise, it engages dentine. When you go counterclockwise, it cuts it. Okay. So you're gonna keep going like that. So that's the emotion. That's what endo is all about. Quarter turn. That's how you cut the dentine out of the canal. Okay. So you get your number 15, which is the white one. It's going to take a while for you to see the numbers. But if you have a hard time at the beginning, it says it on it, 15. Okay? On your hand file, it says 15, the white one. That's 15. So your rotary doesn't say that. How do you know? Then you look at the color of this. This is white. You're gonna find the white rotary. That's your 15 rotary. Okay. So at the beginning you don't know the numbers. You look at it like, hey, this is 15. Then when is the corresponding rotary? This is standard. All number 15s are white. Then 45, it resets at 45 because 45 is also, or 50 is also white. Anyways, so now where are we at? Now we've got a canal that is open, size 15. So we're ready to pick our gate split and drill. So what's the point of gate split and drill? Our root canal instrumentation technique here is called Crowndown. You guys heard of that? Crowndown? Alright, what does Crowndown mean? Crowndown means we start from the crown and we open the tooth up and then go all the way down. That's literally what it means. So how do you do that? That means that you start with the coronal third. Okay? So we start with the coronal third, then we got a mid third, then we got an apical third. So we start opening the coronal third. Why do we do that? The rationale behind Crowndown is that if you open the tooth structure up top, then it's less likely for your files to get engaged and separated in there. If you had a very tight canal and you go in and your file gets engaged and you do that, you may just separate this piece inside and pull the rest out. So we don't want to be, that's a negative motivator. We don't want to do that. So what we do is we open it up top and we just gradually get in, so that at no point are we cutting with the whole file. It's only the tip of it that is engaged, you know. So that's what we do Crowndown. In order to do Crowndown, remember we did re-roofing the pulp chamber. Now we're one level down. We have the coronal third of the root right in this area. We're gonna do the pre-flaring. So it says gate splitting. Yeah, gate splitting and pre-flaring. Doesn't really say that, but that's what it's called. So you use your gate splitting where you put it in a slow speed handpiece. If you look at it, it has latch type connection. So you put it in a slow speed. Sheet tells you to use 234 or 324. Sorry, 432. So you can start with size 2. This is a smaller one. With size 3 and size 4, or go the other way around. I like to do it 432 because it makes sense to me to open it further bigger up top. Then 3 goes a little further deeper. Then 2 goes also deeper. You know, so each time you're using it, 4 is bigger. So you're just opening further up. So you do that, and afterwards you have a canal that is open at the coronal third, and then the bottom half is not touched at all. Basically, you only open it to size 15. That's when you go down to your Crowndown. So what do you do next? You hand file. Sorry, go back to your canal channeling. Hand file to working it up to size 25. So we did 15 gate splitting. Now we got to go back 20 to 25. So we hand file it to size 25. In every tooth that we work here, that's the technique we're going to do. Okay? 10, 15, gate splitting, now 15, 25. Sorry, 20, 25. So this hand filing is a lot harder than rotary, but it's safer. So that's why we initially, when you start, you're going to use the hand file. So you hand file up to 25, and then we're ready to go to the Crowndown with rotary. So how do we do it with rotary? So rotary, the rationale again is to start with the biggest files and then move your way down. So everyone just look at your sheet for a second. So we're going to, says middle Crowndown. We're going to start with a size 4004. Okay? So we have a canal open till 25. If you put a 40 file in there, obviously it's not going to go in all the way down. You know, if it does, that means that your canal was so big that you were just wasting your time with this small hand file because it's just so big. But usually not the case. But here's what we do is after the hand file of 25, we pick our 4004 rotary, which is a lot bigger. We know it's not going to go in. That's why we never push our rotaries. Rotaries, we're just going to go in, let it go to resistance, wherever it goes. The whole idea is to open a little more up top, okay? So we do 40. 40 is going to go, for example, if our working length was 24, 40 goes to 18. Then you put 35. So we started big, we're going to go smaller. 35 should go a millimeter further, so maybe like 19. Then we do 30. 30 should go to 20. Then we do 25. Remember, we already hand filed the canal to 25 with a hand file, right? So we created that space. But it's not always the case that you're 25. If you hand file to 25, you're not always gonna get the rotary 25 all the way down, you know. But so whatever you do is you go 40, 35, 30, 25, and one of those is gonna reach your working length. Okay? When it reaches your working length, then you stop, and then you work your way back up. This is too much right now, but trust me, when you read it once, it makes sense. So we went 40, 35, 30, 25, and then we make our way back up. 25, 30, 35 to 40 again. And that's our final file size. So that's basically a crown down in a nutshell. It's easier than it seems. You may hear a lot of numbers, but it's easier than it seems. When you start doing it, it's a lot easier. And you can just what I said is just exactly written in this cookbook. You can just follow that and try to just stick to this and do not skip any file. So, for example, when you put the 10, don't go try to be like, hey, this is too loose. Maybe I could just shove the 20 in there. No, go to 15, then go to 20. And in between every file that you put, you're supposed to irrigate. I'm not sure where you get your needles and syringes, but look over here in the camera. Now he found the DG16. This is the endo Z. Look at the endo Z. So you go with endo Z. I don't know if he's going to show how. No, that's what I was telling you. You can see the canal if you look down there, and you're confirming that you're inside the canal with the DG16. Look at the axis outlines, the triangular shape. Now we're using a number 10 file to negotiate the canal. Make sure we're actually inside the canal, and we are, and we get our working length. That's the needle and irrigator that I was telling you. Every time you put a file in there, you got to use the irrigation to remove the debris out. Okay. In this case, he's not using the gate splitting, but she wants you to use the gate splitting, so ignore that part.
Where's the irrigation stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think maybe Miss Gladys has it. If not, you gotta figure out where to get it. Yeah, you just use water, but you gotta use a syringe and something that goes in to remove the debris out. Okay? Don't worry about obturation. We'll do it next week. So today, your goal is for next an hour and a half to get this block to size 4004, if you can. If not, you can do it afterwards. And next week, we're gonna do the obturation, which is this part. These are the gutta percha cones that are placed in there. There's one main one, there's accessory ones. That's the heat. You're using a heat source. We don't have that here, we use the regular torch. I'll show you guys next week. But today, you're gonna do your access, find the canal, do the crown down technique, up to size 4004, and that would be a great accomplishment if you do that today. Okay?